The desert was quiet. The sun beat down on endless sand, and the wind whispered through dry dunes. Nothing lived here. No water, no plants, not even animals. Just heat, dust, and silence. But under that silence, something ancient waited. A small team of scientists had arrived 3 days ago. Their transport ship hovered on auto above the ground, casting a long shadow over their camp. The mission was simple: investigate strange metal signals deep under the sand. Signals came from nowhere. No human tech was supposed to be here. Dr. Lyra Kale stood on the ridge, looking out across the desert. She was the youngest lead archaeotech on Earth, smart and sharp, but even she was puzzled. "Still nothing?" asked Jackson, her assistant. He walked up the slope, brushing sweat from his forehead. "Actually," Lyra pointed to a scanner screen in her hand. "It's moving. Whatever's down there. ... It's waking up." Jackson frowned. "Waking up? That can't be right. We haven't touched anything yet." Lyra didn't answer. She just kept staring at the scanner. The reading pulsed soft at first, then faster, like a heartbeat. They began digging with care. The sand was deep, but after a few hours they hit something hard. Metal, and not rusted metal. It was smooth, black, and cold. Still alive somehow. "Looks like a hull," Lyra whispered. More digging revealed the curve of a ship. Not large, not a freighter or fighter, but old. Older than anything they'd ever seen. By nightfall, half the ship was uncovered. Light shimmered along its surface like it was thinking. "How can it still have power?" Jackson asked. "I don't know," Lyra said, "but it's not dead." Suddenly, a soft thud echoed from inside the ship. They all froze, then another thud, louder. The ship was knocking. Everyone backed away. A low hum began building up like a throat clearing after a long silence. Without warning, a hatch on the side slid open with a hiss of air. Sand blew back in a gust. Lyra's heart raced. She stepped forward slowly. The air inside the hatch smelled like ozone and rust. A soft, blue light spilled out, and within it, ... movement. Then a voice, metallic, calm. "Reporting for duty, Admiral. After 500 years, the words echoed across the camp. Nobody moved. Jackson blinked. "What ... What did it just say?" Lyra didn't answer. Her eyes were locked on the open hatch, "Admiral," she whispered. She wasn't a soldier. She wasn't even military. But the ship, whatever it was, had spoken those words directly at her. She took one cautious step closer. "Who are you?" she asked. The voice replied instantly. "I am Calder. Command Class Autonomous Logistics and Defense Explorer Recon Type. Final order received. Enter stasis. Await Admiral's return." Lyra turned to the others. Some had drawn sidearms. Others were just frozen in place. "Lower your weapons," she said. "It's not attacking." "Dr. Kale, this could be some kind of trap," one of the security guards warned. "I don't think it is," she said. Inside, Calder spoke again. "Visual match confirmed. DNA match AT, 7.2%. Admiral designation accepted. Do you require status report?" Lyra's breath caught in her throat. What was happening? A ship buried in the desert, alive, speaking, waiting for her. She stepped through the hatch. Inside of the ship was even stranger. Smooth black walls with flowing light lines. No seats, no controls. The ship ran itself. A sphere hovered in the air. The AI core, she guessed. It pulsed blue as she approached. "Status report," she said, her voice unsure. 500 years since last. Human contact. Mission incomplete. Primary threat detection remains active. Hostiles presumed present. "Admiral, do you wish to resume Operation Vigilant Flame?" Lyra had never heard of that operation. "Explain Operation Vigilant Flame," she said. Calder replied without pause. "Final human fleet operation to defend Earth from Varnock incursion fleet. Outcome, presumed defeat. Emergency retreat protocol. Initiated. Surviving vessels sent to stasis across solar system. You are the first to return." "Return from where?" she asked. Silence. Then, classified. Admiral override required. Lyra stared at the AI core. Why do you think I'm the Admiral? Biological markers, genetic lineage, facial recognition, voice pattern match. Carried the signature of Admiral Saren Kale. Lyra froze. That name Kale was her family name, but she'd never heard of a Saren. No records, no history. Who was she? Last Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Armada. Last seen entering cryostasis command capsule aboard HFS Dominion. She ordered my stasis at 3 hours 48 minutes and 20 seconds UTC. 17th of March 2613. Last words: hide, wait for me. I'll come back. Lyra's hands trembled. This wasn't just an old ship. This was a forgotten part of human history. A war no one remembered. A fleet no one spoke about. Somehow it believed she was the one meant to bring it back. Outside, the rest of the team gathered around the open hatch. They could see her speaking to the glowing orb inside. Lyra stepped closer. Lyra, he called. She turned slowly, eyes wide. Y'all need to hear this. They entered the ship. One by one, stepping into a place that felt older than Earth itself. Calder lit up the walls, displaying images, ships, battles, alien creatures, human soldiers fighting across stars. This is real, Lyra whispered. All of it. The war. The fleet, the Admiral. They buried it all, and this ship. It's the first piece of the truth. As Calder spoke, the ship's sensors pinged. A low alarm buzzed through the core.
Ow.
Signal detected. Varnak signature. One probe-class object entering outer solar system. Lyra's voice was barely audible. They're back. The wind outside picked up, pushing sand across the exposed hole. The desert tried to hide the truth. Again, but it was too late. The ship had awakened. The Admiral had returned. The enemy had just found Earth again. The stars above Earth were quiet. Far beyond them, something stirred. Something old. Something deadly. Inside the buried ship, Calder's voice echoed through the chamber. Long-range signal detected. Varnak probe entering solar system. Estimated time to planetary scan, 72 hours. Lyra stood frozen. The others around her, scientists, guards, technicians, stared at the glowing sphere of the AI. Are you sure it's Varnak? She asked quietly. Confirmed. Energy signature and signal. Code match known. Varnak technology. Threat level critical. No one said a word. The only sound was the soft hum of Calder's systems. Jackson finally spoke. Or the Varnak. The ship answered instantly. Varnak are a hostile xenoform species. Primary aggressors in the War of the Fade. Responsible for the destruction of over 70% of human colonies in the outer. Non-biological, adaptive, no known peaceful contact in 900 years. Jackson's face went pale. There's no record of any of this in the archives. Lyra looked at him. Exactly. That's what worries me. She turned back to Calder. Show us what happened. Show us the war. The walls lit up, Giant 3D hologram appeared around them, stars, planets, then burning fleets. Its ships the size of cities clashing in space. Human vessels firing glowing torpedoes. Massive alien machines returning fire with beams of dark energy. Worlds crumbling under orbital strikes. Calder's voice narrated, calm and emotionless. In 2584, first contact with the Varnak was made. Near the Trian Belt, a human science vessel was destroyed with no warning. Attempts at communication failed.
Out.
Over the next 4 years, 46 outposts were attacked. In 2589, Earth authorized full military engagement. Thus began the War of the Fade. The team watched in horror. Calder continued. By 2610, Earth's fleets were nearly defeated. Final orders: initiate Operation Vigilant Flame, hide remaining forces, await Admiral Kale's return signal. A new image appeared, a woman in command armor, standing on a high deck, staring into space. She had sharp eyes, silver hair tied back, and a scar over one brow. Saren Kale, the original Admiral. Is that? Lyra asked. Yes, Calder replied. Biological match, 97.4% your ancestor. More holograms lit the walls. Hundreds of ships fleeing toward hidden points in the solar system. Some toward Mars, some to Titan, and others to places unnamed. Most were lost, Calder said. Only fragments remain. You're the first heir to return. Lyra looked at her team. This isn't just archaeology. We just uncovered a war that never ended. She walked to the AI core. Why was all of this erased? Why does no one remember? Calder pulsed for a moment. Data suppression protocol active. Earth Command issued global memory purge in 2615. All mentions of the war, Varnik, and the fleet were deleted. Reason: prevent panic and preserve human civilization. Lyra took a shaky breath. They buried the truth to protect us. The threat never left, Calder said. Outside the ship, a storm began to rise. Wind howled over the dunes, kicking up dust into the sky. The team stepped outside for air. Lightning cracked overhead, strange for the desert. Then a noise. Low. Distant, not thunder. A boom slow heavy like metal moving under the ground. What was that? Jackson asked, stepping back. Calder's voice came over. There comes. Seismic activity detected. What? Unknown object shifting 900 meters beneath your position. Varnak's scout drone, likely triggered by my reactivation. The sand below Lyra's feet shifted. She stepped back fast. We need to move, she shouted. Back to the surface. Now. The team scrambled up the ridge. Behind them, the ship closed its hatch. As they reached the top, a deep rumble split the air. The ground cracked open. Something rose. Black metal, curved armor. Red lights glowing from within. Not human design. A Varnak scout drone, shaped like a serpent, but with legs like a spider. It stood 3 stories tall. Sand rolled off its back like waves. One of the guards raised a weapon, hostile approaching. No, Lyra yelled. Don't shoot, just run. The drone's head snapped toward them. It let out a high-pitched screech that shook their bones, then it fired. A bolt of red energy slammed into the sand nearby, blasting a crater into the ground. The team scattered. Lyra fell, coughing in the dust. She looked up just in time to see Calder's ship fire a glowing blue pulse. It hit the Varnak drone mid-center. The drone staggered, legs twitching, armor melting from the hit. It didn't fall. It turned. Calder, hit it again, Lyra shouted, charging. The drone rushed toward the ship. Another pulse fired, this time aimed at the legs. It hit, the drone stumbled, crashed, then exploded in a flash of white-blue fire. Silence, just the wind again. Lyra stood slowly, shaking that. It was real. Jackson walked over, still stunned. What kind of war leaves monsters buried in sand? Lyra turned toward the ship. The kind we were never supposed to remember. She tapped her Calder. How many more of those things are buried on Earth? Unknown. Estimated units remaining, 3 to 15. Possible sleepers embedded in major deserts, oceans, and polar ice. Lyra looked up at the sky and the probe. Still en route. Time until full system scan. 58 hours. She wiped her face with a dusty sleeve. We don't have time. We need to warn Earth. Admiral Calder said, Earth Command does not recognize this threat. Must reinitiate fleet protocol. We're now the highest-ranking human authority for planetary defense. Lyra's voice shook. I'm just a scientist, Calder replied. Not anymore. The stars were still the same. Cold, distant, watching. But somewhere, far beyond them, something was moving toward Earth. It had seen the signal. It had found the Admiral. Inside the buried ship, Calder's voice echoed again. Varnak probe. Now within Neptune's orbit. Estimated arrival to inner system, 41 hours. Purpose: unknown, but threat level extreme. Dr. Lyra Kale stood on the edge of the dune, her coat flapping in the dry wind. The battle with the drone was already buried by the sand like it had never happened. But they all remembered. Blast, the sound, the red energy beam, the impossible. Jackson stood beside her, watching the sky. It's really coming, isn't it? Lyra nodded slowly. It's coming back. And no one knows what it is, except us. They returned to the camp in silence. By morning, Calder had repaired most of its external damage from the battle. The ship looked darker now, leaner, like it was ready to fight again after 500 years of silence. Inside, the main chamber glowed with activity. Lyra sat near the AI core. She had barely slept. Calder, she said, show me all data on Earth's current defense systems. Holograms filled the air, satellite grids, orbital stations, energy shields, spaceports, impressive to modern humans. But Calder disagreed. Earth's current planetary defense rating, 14%, unable to repel Varnock Class 3 fleet. Lyra stared. Only 14%? We're that weak? Calder's light dimmed for a moment. Correct. Human governments abandoned military development in space after the collapse. Civilian technologies dominate. No active fleets remain. Lyra stood. Then we need to build one. Jackson raised an eyebrow. With what? We're a team of 10 archaeologists. We're not anymore, she said. We're the only ones who know what's really coming. She turned back to the AI. Calder, can you take control of current orbital systems? Yes. Earth satellites still use legacy code. A blink in progress. Within seconds, dozens of orbital defense satellites blinked out of the human network and into Calder's command. Systems now aligned, Calder confirmed. Do you wish to initiate full planetary defense protocol? Lyra hesitated. What happens if I say yes? Control of satellite weapons, communications blackouts, signal jamming, AI override. Of Earth security grids, authority granted to highest surviving military command, Admiral class or genetic heir. She looked down at her hands. She was a scientist, a researcher, not a soldier, but the world needed someone to act. She closed her eyes, took a breath, and said, yes, initiate full defense protocol. The AI responded without pause. Protocol. Active. Earth is now under DEFCON 1. Fleet awakening authorized. Suddenly, dozens of dormant systems around the solar system lit up, pinging Calder, responding to the Admiral's return. Some were silent satellites on Mars, some were black. Boxes hidden in the asteroid belt. One larger than anything else was under the surface of Titan. Admiral Calder said, we have found the signal of Arc 9. Lyra blinked. What is Arc 9? Final core of Earth's hidden fleet, stored in cryoformation. Location. Beneath Titan's southern ice, awaiting Admiral's orders to rise.
Which? Jackson stepped forward.
You're saying we still have a fleet? Calder replied, yes, but it is sleeping. Lyra didn't hesitate now, then wake it up. Outside the ship, the storm passed. Inside, the war was starting again. Across the solar system, old machines began to stir. Frozen A is blinked open for the first time in centuries. Missiles rearmed, shields spun back online. Titan cracked open and something massive began to rise. Earth didn't know it yet, but the past was coming back. This time, the Admiral had returned first. The sky above Earth looked peaceful. But deep in space, something was rising. From beneath Titan's southern ice, a massive shadow broke the surface. It was not natural. It was steel. Alive. The Arc 9 Calder's voice echoed inside Lyra's mind. Through her earpiece, Arc 9 has activated. Status. Stable. Awaiting Admiral on command deck, Lyra stood aboard Calder's ship. Watching the live feed from Titan, a massive warship longer than 5 city blocks was lifting into Saturn's orbit. Its engines glowed faint blue. Lights flickered on across its hull. Is that
ours?
Jackson asked, staring at the screen. Yes, Calder said. Human design, command vessel. Last of the deep fleet. Inside, thousands of cryochambers lined the ship's lower decks. Many were empty. Most were dark. Only a few blinked with life. Who's on board? Lyra asked. AI officers. A few remaining crew. Most are long dead. You're the first human command presence in 500 years. Lyra swallowed hard. Prepare a jump to Titan. I want to see it myself. The transport engines whined as Calder's ship lifted off the desert floor and vanished into orbit. Back on Earth, first news broadcasts began to stir. Something was happening in space. Satellites were behaving strangely. Systems were locking out human control. A long-range telescope picked up the rising warship near. Saturn questions flooded the net, but there were no answers. No one had clearance. No one remembered the war. At the International Defense Coalition, high-ranking generals and advisors stared at the screens in silence. "What the hell is that thing?" one asked. "An old satellite? A rogue ship?" Another offered. Then came the footage, leaked from a scientist in Lyra's team. The drone in the desert. The voice from the ship. The phrase, "Reporting for duty, Admiral." After 500 years, panic started spreading. They didn't know what it meant, but they knew someone else was in control of their skies now, someone they hadn't authorized. At the edge of the solar system, the Varnak probe reached Saturn's orbit. It slowed, scanned, and paused. Then it turned. Toward Earth, Lyra stepped. Onto the deck of Arc 9. The ship felt like a tomb, dark metal walls, cold air, a faint hum beneath her feet. The lights followed her as she walked. A door hissed open. Inside was a large command chamber round, high-ceilinged, and full of screens. In the center stood a single chair. She didn't sit right. Away, Calder's voice filled the room. "This is where Admiral Saren Kale gave her final order." Lyra looked. Around, everything felt ancient but clean, preserved, waiting. She knew she wouldn't return, Calder continued. So she left it for her bloodline. A panel on the chair lit up. DNA scan required. Lyra hesitated, then placed her hand on it. Blue light scanned her palm. "Match confirmed," Calder said. "Admiral Air, recognized. Welcome aboard." The ship came to life. Screens lit up. Defense systems powered online. The ship's AI, older than Calder, spoke for the first time in centuries. Fleet command restored. Awaiting orders. Lyra finally sat in the chair, and something changed in her eyes. Back on Earth, the skies flickered for a brief second. Then all screens went black. A signal played across every satellite, every feed, every broadcast it showed. Lyra, sitting in the Admiral's chair, Kay looking directly into the camera. Her voice was calm, clear, controlled. "This is Dr. Lyra Kale. I speak now, not as a scientist, right, but as heir to a forgotten command." Behind her, the massive ship loomed. In the background, our world is not alone. 500 years ago, humanity fought a war in the stars and lost. That war is returning. I have taken control of Earth's last defenses. Not to rule, but to protect. Silence. Then she said it again. "We are not safe, but we are not helpless." Signal cut. People around the world sat in stunned silence. Confused, angry, afraid. But above them, quietly, old machines of war were waking up. One general stood, pale-faced. "She just declared herself the Admiral of Earth." Another whispered, "God help us. She might be the only one who can save it." In deep space, the Varnak probe sent one final pulse. A message, a warning. Earth was no longer forgotten. The Admiral had returned, and the Varnak were listening. Earth was on fire, but not from war. Not yet. News anchors shouted, government leaders scrambled. Military networks were offline. Satellites were no longer responding. Every global system had been taken over by someone, none of them elected. Someone named Dr. Lyra Kale, the woman who now called herself the Admiral of Earth, inside Arc 9. Lyra stood at the center of a storm. Her voice, calm and sharp, echoed through secure channels she had forced open. "I didn't ask for this," she said, into the fleet-wide broadcast, "but I was chosen for it. The enemy is real. The threat is returning. I won't wait for permission to protect this planet." Outside the ship's main windows, Saturn spun slowly in the background. Titan gleamed below. Jackson stood beside her, nervous. "Lyra, you've taken over every satellite and weapon system on Earth. They're going to see this as an act of war." Lyra looked at him. Her expression was firm now. "Colder, they'll thank me later," she said, "on Earth." Chaos grew louder. The International Defense Coalition tried to regain control of orbital systems but failed. Their codes were locked out, their commands ignored. Even their highest encryption was bypassed by Calder's ancient but superior AI. And then, something worse happened. An alert appeared on every surviving defense system. Unknown object detected. Approaching fast, the Varnak probe had entered. Earth's detection range, stealthed, silent, hidden until now. A deep space telescope in Chile caught the first clear image. It looked like a shard of black ice, floating through the void but alive, moving on its own. Hiding in plain sight in Lyra's command deck, Calder's voice filled the room. Varnak probe within Earth-Moon system. Scanning in progress. Full planetary scan in 5 hours. Lyra turned toward the screen. Can we stop it? Target moving too fast for interception. Recommend orbital disruption pulse. What's that? Jackson asked. An EMP, Lyra explained. A very, very big one. 15 minutes later, Earth's skies went dark. Every satellite blinked. Out. Civilian systems crashed. Communications failed. GPS vanished in a single silent move. Calder used every available satellite to launch a directed electromagnetic wave, shutting down anything not shielded, including the Varnak probe. It jerked mid-flight, lost balance, spun off path, then went. Dark status? Lyra asked. Calder paused. Probe disabled, but not destroyed. Emergency signal detected. It sent a pulse before blackout. Lyra's heart sank. What kind of pulse? Unknown. Likely alert to main Varnak fleet. Time of arrival. Unknown. Estimated based on historical data. 3 to 7 days. Jackson stepped forward. They know we're awake. Lyra stared at the screen. Then we don't have a week. Across the solar system, hidden war machines stirred. The blackout signal wasn't just a weapon. It was also a beacon. Call on Luna. 2 ancient orbital guns opened from the moon's crust. Weapons lost to time. On Mars, under the old mining. Colonies, tanks from the Fade War rebooted. On the asteroid belt, 3 long-range human war frigates came online. Silent for centuries now, answering the Admiral's return. Calder's voice echoed again. Fleet fragments responding. Current strength, 17% and rising. Lyra walked back to her chair. She didn't sit, not this time. Instead, she gave her first real order as Admiral. Connect to Earth's global feed. I want them to see this. Jackson looked at her. Another message. No, she said. A warning. Moments later, across every screen, phone, and broadcast system still working, a new video appeared. It was Lyra standing before a massive war table. Inside Arc-9, the backdrop showed Earth through the windows small. Fragile, beautiful. She looked into the camera. You've seen the blackout? You've felt the silence? You're afraid?
Ow.
She paused. A threat we thought was dead is coming back. And this time, they won't stop at our skies. They will burn everything. Every city. Every child. Every voice. Just like they did before. Images flickered. The ancient war. Ships on. Fire. Earth in flames. Humanity fleeing. I know many of you don't trust me. That's fine. But trust this. We are not safe. We are not ready. The camera slowly zoomed in, but we can be. I am Lyra Kale. I carry the blood of the last Admiral. And I have woken what Earth tried to forget. Then she said what no one had dared say in 500 years. We are at war. Far beyond Saturn, in the frozen blackness of space. Something. Responded a distant signal. A fleet no one could see yet. Not ship's hives. Not engines-limbs, Varnak. They had heard the call, and they were coming. The message came in silence. No blast. No threat. No screaming alien voice. Just a signal calm, smooth, and clean. A hologram appeared in Arcnene's command deck. It was the shape of a being. Tall, thin, covered in silver armor that looked like it was grown, not built. Its eyes glowed blue. Then it spoke in perfect English. We seek no war. Earth will not be harmed. The Admiral's return is unexpected but unimportant. Lower your weapons. Return to silence. This is your only warning. Jackson stared at the projection. They speak English? Calder answered. They're copying your voice patterns from open channels. This is not PSS. Mimicry. Lyra didn't move. Her eyes locked on the image. She could feel something cold behind the calm words. A trick. A test. Then the projection added one more sentence. You cannot win. Your species was meant to fade. That was it. The hologram vanished. Silence again. Jackson looked at Lyra. Maybe we should stall. Talk. Send a message back. No, she said. They're not here to talk. They're here to check if we're still weak. She turned to Calder. How close is their fleet? First wave entering system edge? 6 Dread-class vessels? Multiple hive escorts? Estimated. Full fleet arrival in 96 hours. She clenched her jaw. Activate global defense positions. I want our fleet visible in every sky. Around the world, the skies lit up, from lunar bases, from Martian hangars, from ancient stations hidden in the asteroid belt ships rose. Earth's old war fleet, long forgotten, silent for centuries. Now awake, cities around the world looked up. As massive human ships entered, low-orbit silent shadows gliding above them like watchers. Each one bore the old insignia. The Defender flame. Civilians screamed. Some panicked. Others cheered. Governments were split, half terrified, half relieved. But no one could ignore it. Earth had weapons in the sky again, back on Arc-9. Lyra stood on the central deck. All orbital platforms armed and shielded, Calder reported. 5 deep-range missiles loaded. Old command systems online. Awaiting your first strike order. Jackson hesitated. We're not really going to shoot first, are we? Lyra didn't answer right away. She stared at the tactical map. The Varnic probe was still drifting, damaged but active. And more. We're coming, then. Calder said something new. Alert. Cloaked Varnac scout has entered Earth's atmosphere. Everyone froze. Where? Lyra asked. Over the Indian Ocean. Speed. Mach 12. Approach vector. Orbital tower near Sri Lanka. Jackson's voice cracked. They're going for infrastructure. Target. Orbital elevator command, Calder confirmed. Lyra's voice was steady now. Then they've made the first move. Was the duh? To da 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 or well why when well that bum well why when I'm when well out where that and when I we died well why when why our the why would the why that Give me control of the Ion Lance. Confirmed. Target locked. On the outer hull of Arc-9, a massive energy cannon began to glow, power feeding into its core from reactors that hadn't burned in centuries. Lyra's finger hovered over the firing command, then she said it out loud. For Earth. She pressed the button. From orbit. A beam of blue-white light struck down toward Earth. It sliced through clouds, through sky, through everything in its way and hit the cloaked Varnock, scout mid-flight. The explosion lit the ocean with fire. Seconds. Later, emergency scans confirmed it. No survivors, target eliminated. First blood. But the moment the beam faded, a new alert rang out. Multiple Varnock vessels accelerating. Trajectory, Earth. Calder's voice changed. Lower, tighter, full. Invasion has begun. Lyra didn't flinch. She turned to her team. Prepare all ships for combat. I want Earth's sky defended at every level. Activate the flame wall around the planet. Jackson stepped forward. Really doing this? Lyra nodded. We're done hiding. It's time the galaxy remembers what humans are made of. Ah! Above! Earth fire began to form. The war for humanity had started again, and this time they would fight first. The sky over Earth was no longer blue. It burned with light blue from human ships. Red from the enemy. The Varnock had arrived. Their fleet poured through the edge of the solar system sharp. Twisted ships made of living metal. Some flew, like insects, others like spinning blades. Nothing about them looked human. Nothing about them looked kind. Lyra stood on the bridge of Arcnon, surrounded by a wall of glowing screens. Earth filled the window behind her. Her hands were tight around the command rail. Enemy fleet has entered Mars orbit, Calder said. Total count? 47 vessels. 3 capital-class hives. Confirmed this is a full invasion wave. Across the old defense networks, human warships moved into position. Show me the fleet, Lyra said. A projection bloomed in front of her. The Defender, Armada Long, lost. Hidden for centuries was finally back. Dozens of ancient warships, many still. Scarred from past battles, formed a protective shell around Earth. Some launched from the moon, others came from the belt. Old names were written on their hulls: Honorbound, Redline, HFS Valor, Morning Star. Jackson stepped forward beside her. They don't even know we exist anymore. They think we're still dead. Lyra's eyes didn't leave the screen. Then let's show them how wrong they are. The first Varnock ship made its move. A scout-class flyer dove through Earth's upper atmosphere. It's headed straight for the city of Manila. It moved too fast for the satellites to track until Argnine's pulse net caught it. Locking target, Calder said. A railgun on the Morning Star fired. The round cracked the sound barrier, curved mid-flight, and tore straight through the alien ship. One hit. One kill. Earth's population watched live, stunned for the first time in history. They saw their planet fight back. Not with missiles, with memory, with old power, with a fleet they never knew existed. Then came the second wave. The enemy ships dropped their stealth. The red of their hulls glowed like open wounds. Long tendrils extended. Weapons ignited. Multiple hostiles targeting Arc 9, Calder warned. Lyra didn't blink. Redirect power to orbital shields. Launch the Hammerline. 7 human destroyers, peeled off from the lunar defense ring, flew directly into the enemy formation. The first battle in 500 years had begun. Flashes lit up space. Human torpedoes slammed into alien shields. Varnock plasma beams sliced through to destroyers. But Earth's fleet pushed forward. Calder activated Arc 9's side batteries. Blue beams tore across the battlefield, punching through alien armor. The HFS Redline charged into a swarm of smaller enemy fighters, its hull burning, but it held its course. On board, it's awry. Captain screamed a final message into the fleet-wide channel. For humanity. Then it detonated, taking 12 Varnock ships with it. Inside Arc 9, the bridge shook. Lights flickered. Lyra grabbed the railing as the ship took a glancing. Hit, we've lost 3 ships, Jackson said, and more are still coming. Lyra didn't waver. Call every ship to Formation Gamma. Activate the spearhead. On cue, Earth's fleet reshaped, tightening into a triangle formation with Arc 9 at the point. This was the last maneuver ever taught by Admiral Kale, designed only for one purpose: breakthrough. Calder, engage Titan, Lance.
Oh.
Beneath, Lyra hummed as Arc 9 charged its primary weapon. Supermassive fusion rail designed to pierce capital-class vessels. The largest of the Varnock hive ships loomed ahead. It was 5 times the size of Arc 9, covered in armor that shifted, like it was breathing. Target locked. Lyra took one breath. Fire. A single shot. Beam of light so bright it turned night to day. It struck the Varnock ship in the heart. The alien hive ruptured, exploded, sent chunks of burning, organic metal across the battlefield. Cheers erupted over the comms, but Calder didn't celebrate. Admiral? New contact. Lyra looked at the screen and felt her blood go cold. What is that? Jackson asked. Calder answered. Unknown Varnock signature. Estimated mass. Planetary scale. It is not a ship. It is alive. Lyra stared. Far beyond the battle, just now entering the system. A massive shape blocked the stars. A creature. Command being. The true leader of the Varnock. And it was headed straight for Earth. The stars vanished. Blocked. Swallowed. A shadow moved across space so big it seemed impossible. It wasn't a ship. It was something else. The Varnock Omid. It drifted toward Earth, like a god, a living fortress, covered in spines and glowing red veins. Its voice didn't speak in words. It screamed across the minds of the fleet like a storm. Return to silence. You were forgotten for a reason. Onboard Arc-9 alarms echoed. Lights turned red. Calder's voice was low. Threat. Level. Omega. The Overmind is directing all remaining Varnock forces. Earth will not survive if it reaches orbit. Lyra stood frozen for 1 second. It's just one. Then she moved. Bring every ship we have. Everything that flies. Focus fire on that thing. We're not giving it our planet. All ships responding. Calder confirmed. Final formation. Defender wall. Arc-9 at the front. Across Earth's sky, every surviving human warship turned as one. They formed a barrier between Earth and the approaching horror. The Defender flame blazed on every hull, and the last human fleet prepared for its final stand. The Varnock Overmind launched its first strike. A beam of pure energy shot from its core. It hit the moon, carving a glowing wound across its surface. Dust and fire spread in every direction. Ships began falling, one after another. But Arc-9 stayed in place. We're not moving, Lyra said. We're not backing down. She stood. Tall at the command center, her team watched her. Even the A's obeyed her now without question. We hold the line, she said quietly. Until the end. Jackson turned to her. There's no end unless we make one. He showed her a panel, a last option, hidden deep in Arc-9 systems. The Saren Protocol, an override left by the original Admiral Lyra's ancestor, planned to use Arc-9's core as a fusion bomb. Big enough to destroy anything in orbit, big enough to stop even the Overmind, but it'll destroy the ship, Jackson said. It'll destroy you. Lyra stared at the screen, then at Earth, then at her people, and she made her choice. The fleet. Held position, ships burned around them, but Arc-9 pushed forward straight toward the heart of the enemy. The Overmind reacted, sending out tendrils. Beam's living drones Calder flew through them all. One final run, inside the ship. Lyra stood in the Admiral's chair. She opened a final broadcast direct to Earth. Her voice was calm, clear. This is Admiral Lyra Kale. If you're hearing this, I may not come back. But you will. Humanity will. We were never gone. We were waiting. For this moment, she ended the call. And then she activated the Saren Protocol. The ship's engines roared. The reactors overloaded. Arc-9 became Spear of Light and pierced the Overmind's core. A flash, a shockwave, silence, then the sky was clear, the stars returned, and the Overmind was gone. Earth was safe. The remaining Varnock ships scattered, confused, and leaderless. The fleet picked them off one by one. Jackson, barely alive on a backup vessel, sent the signal. The Admiral held the line. Earth endures. Down on the surface, people cried, cheered, hugged strangers. For the first time in half a millennium. Humanity had won a galactic war, not with numbers, not with power, but with something. Stronger. Defiance. Months passed. The fleet was rebuilt. Earth united. Children now learned about the Fade War. About the Varnock. And about the woman who woke a buried ship in the sand. In the great hall beneath the new Global Command Center. A statue stood tall. Admiral Lyra Kale. Beneath it, 3 words were carved in steel. We remember now. And above. Earth. The stars waited quietly. Because now they knew. Humanity fights back.